I'm Shane Finan, and I'm based in Leitrim, in County Leitrim, in the northwest of Ireland. I was artist in residence in 2022 here at Artlink, and I decided to spread the residency across the course of the year in 2022. So I came at 4 different seasons at the midpoint of each of the seasons. So I'm here in winter doing the final leg of this residency. I had a lot of interest in Artlink for a few years, actually. I applied quite a few times to the residency program here, and I was really honoured and really happy to get it. When I looked at the space, this really unusual landscape that's here at Dunree, there were so many different ways that I thought I could approach a residency or doing a residency here. And when I applied, I had been working for a while on a project about the relationships between fungi and green plants. So fungi, particularly in forests, and green plants, trees particularly, and the types of relationships that they form with one another, some collaborative and some competitive. And then I thought I'd take this with me up the hill. And I was really conscious when I came. I've done quite a few residencies over the last few years, and when I landed into a place, it was oftentimes for 1 month, but it might be 1 month in April. So all the trees will be just starting to bud, or be 1 month in October and the mushrooms will be out, but the leaves will be down off the trees. And it always felt like the snapshot was kind of a bit of an untrue picture of a place. So I thought I'd try something a little bit different with this, and that I'd come across the course of the year and try and observe those changes somewhere within the landscape when I was here. So I spoke quite a lot with the Artlink team when I was here. And within those conversations, Martha mentioned something about lichen that grow on the top of the hill, and that sort of started me on a little bit of a spiral, because I'd been looking at lichen for a while, and I find lichen really interesting because they also are a relationship between fungi and green plant. So there was something there that I could sink my teeth into, that I already had some knowledge or some understanding of. And then there was this very specific lichen that grows at the top of the hill that has completely caught my attention, and that's really what I've embedded myself in over the course of the year. So having visited this space 4 times now in 4 different lights, with 4 different types of migrating birds around, and 4 different modes of flowering or seeding or budding or whatever of the plants around, I've seen this same thing in its different habitats or in its different environments. So that's been what the residency has become. So the tools and processes that I use, they vary from one project to another. So sometimes I think I was trained originally as a painter, and then I did a master's in interactive digital media, and I moved into using a lot of electronics, computer programming, web-based media, things and building installation using those sorts of things. But it really depends on the project. So I investigate something as in-depth as possible, and then I think about what materials would be the right material to kind of tell this story. I sketch a lot. So I came up here with my sketchbooks and did quite a few pen drawings to begin with. And then at some point earlier this year, I'd come across these portable scanners through my brother, who is a graphic artist, and he was using them indoors and in his way. And I thought, okay, well, this is something kind of interesting. I wouldn't mind trying to bring one of these outside and see what happens. So scan the landscape in some sort of way. And then I started scanning the lichen, and I thought the process of what happened when the thing that's there was brought through this machine that was built to do something kind of other, because it's for document scanning, it's not really for scanning lichen on the side of a cliff face. And then bringing that again into my computer and manipulating it and looking at it, started to show some really interesting things about these unusual permeable borders as well, the hard lines that we draw between our technologies and what they're supposed to do and what they can do. I'm very involved in the DIY electronics and hacker movement, both here and throughout Europe, and I'm really interested in how computers as technologies could be something different than they are. The kind of like Silicon Valley idealism of and the techno-utopic dreams of computers are something that I don't necessarily agree with. And a lot of the time I like to take those technological tools and sort of use them for something they weren't really fit for. Sometimes that means even like actually taking them apart, rewiring them and doing something else with them. In this case, it was just bring a scanner up the side of a hill and see what happened. But then I also started taking some macro photographs of those lichen and thinking about those borders again and what they were. The border between the lens of my camera, the border between the lens of the scanner. I had to use this plastic sheet to kind of protect the scanner because it wasn't built for this type of like rugged, rough terrain. All those things, they kind of became part of the process of collecting and researching material. Usually this is, as my process goes, this would be like the kind of step 2 of 3. So the step 3 is normally then I take these things and build something out of it. The step 3, I'm still not sure exactly what that's going to become in Artlink, because it just hasn't kind of like revealed itself, I suppose, is maybe my easiest way of putting that. So I spread the residency across the course of a year, coming at the midpoint of spring, summer, autumn and winter, 1 week each time. And that was, I mean, from an aesthetic or an artistic point of view, I'm really glad I made that choice, and I'd love to repeat it again for other projects, because I got to see this landscape in different light and with different lengths of day, and with different, I suppose, nature reacting around different kinds of weather and so on. But one of the things that was really pronounced about it, and maybe this is like specific to working with an art centre that has such a busy and active programme, is that I also met all of these different people over the course of that time, and I kind of found myself within the lives of the people who work at Artlink, Martha, Rebecca and Patricia, and also the people who work on the fringes or around, like, you know, who are part of the extended team, if you want, or the people who come in to do projects but do it kind of regularly. So I met people repeatedly, and things had shifted and changed over time. A new artist had come in, and then the office had changed shape a little bit, like, or something had been installed that wasn't there before, or somebody had left a tokenistic artwork in the corner that wasn't there before. So something was always moved. Something had moved every time that I was here. And so there wasn't just this, like, the landscape on the outside. There was something else that I hadn't expected or hadn't anticipated, was this, like, changes in the people who were there. And of course, it was quite a dramatic year as well, for everybody involved. I mean, I became a father at the end of last year, and then the span of that 1 year, I have this record as my daughter came with me on a couple of the legs of the residency. I have this record of her being part of this span of time. And then simultaneously, Martha, who is an integral part of Artlink, her partner Harry passed away early on in the residency as well, and I've seen her moving through grief during that same period, and that, like, in snapshots. So I was back at 3-month periods, and also the people around her moving through that with her too. Those snapshots that happened over the course of a year, they give something that you would never get if you were only there for 1 single month. And they give a kind of an emotional connection that you would never get there if you were only there for a month. The writer John McGahern, in his final novel he wrote called That They May Face the Rising Sun, he wrote this book that spanned 4 seasons, and which was part of the idea and the influence behind me actually looking to do this too. And within that, he kind of dropped the narrative of consecutive time. So it didn't really matter. Sometimes things in the book happened in summer, but it was like, it could have been summer in the past or summer in the future. It didn't really matter. It was summer was the thing that was kind of important. And it was the passage of the seasons and that cycle that happened was the thing that was really more important than this kind of perception that we sometimes have of linear time, as if time moves on tracks in one direction. And I think that's something also that happens with these kind of movement of people that are coming here, and the people who are here already. something has changed, something has shifted, the seasons move on, and we all grow or change with that as well, and have all grown from one another. And I've been very lucky to actually be welcomed by the people who are here, both those who are permanent and those who are transitory, and had a chance to have those kind of conversations with people over a course of time. I like to collaborate a lot, like, so it's nice to have those kind of conversations, the broader conversations. Look at that. That's interesting.